Every few months, a specific cultural anxiety sweeps through the internet. The timeline fills with warnings to back up hard drives, avoid signing contracts, and brace for communication breakdowns. Popular culture treats these cycles as cosmic scapegoats for dropped calls and returning exes, a mandatory period of failure where external progress is expected to stall. But the system is not breaking. To find the source of this perceived chaos, we have to look past the superstition and examine the mechanical reality of the solar system. This orbital model shows the source of the phenomenon. When we observe a retrograde, we are watching an optical illusion. Earth completes its orbit faster. As we pass the outer planets, they appear to stop and move backward. Ancient astrologers mapped this mechanic, using this apparent reversal as a deliberate mirror for human experience. The esoteric traditions recognized that this geometric illusion in the macrocosm signaled a required phase in the microcosm. The sky was modeling a period of psychological recursion. Modern society demands continuous, unbroken forward momentum, measuring success and progress in straight lines. Ignoring the review loops built into our own psychology creates internal friction. The disruption felt during these cycles is the symptom of resisting a necessary pause. The cycle begins during the stationing phase. This is the moment a planet appears to halt in the sky, and its outward archetypal expression stalls. This diagram illustrates the shift. The energy stops projecting outward and folds back on itself, initiating an intentional internal audit. We enter a state of recursion. The mind processes the emotional data, choices, and experiences it bypassed while rushing forward. By circling back over recent territory, human awareness gains the time required to digest raw experience before accumulating more. These scheduled audits manage the accumulation of raw, unexamined experience. Without them, that psychological backlog begins to obscure the clarity of our current path. Specific archetypes show how this audit functions in practice. Mercury governs logic, processing, and the flow of information. When Mercury stations and loops back, the conscious mind decelerates. It reviews the assumptions, contracts, and miscommunications that slipped through the cracks during its normal, rapid output. Venus governs a different sphere: human connection, values, and our internal sense of self-worth. This chart visualization maps a Venus reversal. It surfaces past relationships or old financial habits to test our current alignments, ensuring our internal values match our external choices. These planetary transits act as targeted audits of how we think and how we relate, demanding realignments where we have drifted off course. Mars represents our drive, our desires, and our capacity for conflict. When Mars begins its retrograde loop, aggression is internalized. Suppressed frustrations and unexpressed anger surface to be processed internally, bypassing the impulse for blind action. These individual cycles point to a broader esoteric philosophy. Human progress operates as a series of circles. This orbital model demonstrates that growth is an ascending spiral. We gain elevation by repeatedly crossing over the same axis, integrating old patterns from a new height. Psychological evolution requires these designated periods. We retrace our steps to collect and integrate the unresolved shadow material we left behind. Once the geometry of these cycles is understood, the reversal becomes a practical tool. Astrology provides a symbolic language of archetypal patterns, mapping the internal rhythms of the self. Consciously aligning with these review loops creates an intentional space for self-mastery, where the perceived chaos of a transit becomes a structured tool for growth. The act of pausing, reflecting, and reviewing is a vital component of our momentum. The universe provides these necessary checkpoints to ensure our internal foundation can support our external growth. We can choose to use the next retrograde as a deliberate internal review. By mastering the geometry of the loop, we stop fighting the sky and start actively integrating the self.